Fresh from Arrma, we have the Typhon Grom small scale buggy. This thing looks really, really cool, and I think it might actually be more attractive to people than the Granite Grom was, simply because this is gonna be a bigger car. Now, before we talk about that, make sure you get subscribed if you wanna get all the latest news, reviews, bashing and crashing, because we're doing that here first. Now, before we talk about the size of this car, let's talk about what you're gonna be getting. This is a small scale buggy. It's gonna be coming with a brushed system, which includes a 25 amp all-in-one ESC and receiver. That's gonna be connected to an SLT2 transmitter. That transmitter is pretty nice for what it is. It feels good in the hand, and it does have the ability to reduce your maximum speed, though I'm not entirely sure that reducing the maximum speed on one of these things is necessary, because they're not that fast. That 25 amp ESC is gonna be running a 380 sized motor, which is going to be connected to the car through a fixed motor mount. Fortunately, most of the parts on this car are gonna be very similar to the Granite Grom, and there's already a bunch of upgrades you can get for the Granite Grom, including adjustable motor mounts, as well as a ton of different brushless systems. Of course, we're gonna be putting brushless in this car once I get mine. I'm really excited to see just how fast we can make this thing go. The Granite Grom was surprisingly stable for its size, and being longer, I expect this thing to be even more stable, so we should be able to get some pretty impressive speeds out of it. Speaking of longer, this thing's gonna be on a longer wheelbase chassis than the Granite Grom, and is almost an inch and a half longer than that Granite Grom is. Speaking of size, Arrma seems hesitant to give this thing a scale, but I'm gonna call it 1/14th, 1/15th scale. This is very similar in size to the team associated 1/14th scale buggy. It is just slightly shorter, so I think 1/15th scale is appropriate for it. That really should help the stability of the car, and it might give us the opportunity to put some bigger tires on this thing and make a monster buggy out of it. I really like the format of a buggy with big tires on it, so I'm excited to see what can be done with this one. Now it's time to talk about some things that aren't quite as exciting. Unfortunately, just like the Granite Grom, we're going to be dealing with those plastic differentials. The plastic differentials work pretty well for stock power and mild brushless power, but if you want serious power, you're going to have to upgrade those differentials. And unfortunately, the first party differentials from Horizon, along with a lot of their parts lately, haven't had good availability. The good thing is there are other options out there for pretty much all the upgrades you would want to do to it, assuming you want to spend that kind of money. Powering that motor and ESC are also going to be that same 2S Smart battery. I'm not a big fan of this. It comes with a charger, and the charger's okay, but you can't get any information off of that charger, and there are some things that you really need to be able to know to keep track of the health of your battery. One of the most important ones is the internal resistance of the cells. If you can't track the internal resistance of the cells, you're not going to get that early warning when the battery is starting to degrade and potentially fail. One thing I see that they've included here, which is really nice, is a USB-C to USB-B adapter. A lot of people had problems plugging this into a standard USB-C charger because it seemed a little bit finicky as to which chargers it would work with. This adapter should open up those possibilities just a little bit more. Putting that power to the ground are going to be the same steel plastic hybrid axle shafts, and those are going to be attached to some nice looking new wheels and tires that are appropriate for a buggy of this kind. In the looks department, this thing definitely delivers. The body looks really awesome. We've got different color choices that I think look amazing. Arrma has been killing it with the color schemes lately. I think they're ahead of the pack pretty much on all of their new releases. Speaking of releases, this is a clipless body. It looks like the clips are going to be a little bit easier to get to than they were on the Granite Grom. The Granite Grom clips can be a little bit finicky, so hopefully this is a bit more user-friendly than those were. We've got a wing out back, and of course a tiny little bumper up front, commiserate with the kind of car that this is. This car is not going to be coming with a wheelie bar. As far as new parts on this car, other than the visual parts, that slightly longer chassis, there's really only one thing that's new, and that's a cooling fan for the motor. I think a lot of people will be happy to see that because the stock motor got very, very hot. Personally, I'll be upgrading it to brushless pretty much right away, so that's not a big deal to me, but that fan does give us an indication that there's more room for motors in there, so people who are really into speedrunning might be able to take advantage of that extra space. Now, speaking of taking advantage of people, of course, Horizon's not going to release a new product without a new price, and this is going to be $139 as opposed to the $129 of the Granite Grom. Not sure where that extra $10 is going. Maybe it's into that cooling fan, but personally, I think I would have liked to have seen this at that same $129. It's already a lot of money for the car, although I do think these are the best small cars you can get right now. I still would have liked to have seen it be the same price. What do you think? Do you think this should have been 130 bucks? Are you excited to get one of these? Are you excited to see how fast I can make it go and just how durable it is? If you are, let me know down in the comments, get subscribed, then check out one of these videos.